a lot of chatter. We talked about it in a previous episode of the show about the future of Maxx Crosby. Multiple reports indicating that he thinks Tom Brady's the devil incarnate and wants out of Las Vegas because of Tom Brady and doesn't want to do anything involving Brady and all that stuff. Well, the Raiders do what they're really good at, and I'm convinced their fan base, there's a percentage of Raider fans that are really stupid, and they buy every one of these coaching hires. I've been doing this since I've been on Fox Sports Radio. They actually won. They won the AFC. I was on the air. There was a Super Bowl that was played. The Raiders were in the Super Bowl, and that was a generation plus ago. Okay, and the Raiders they've been masters of changing coaches. Been really good at changing coaches, and I am continually fascinated by how stupid some people are. They hire these coaches. Oh, this guy's the guy. This guy's the guy. How do you get out of bed? Maybe you don't. You're that dumb. It's unbelievable. It's really. So anyway, the latest dope the Raiders hired as coach, Klint Kubiak, the Nepo baby. He was introduced. And the Raiders, again, they don't win championships, but they're really good at welcoming coaches and bringing back the Raider legends who at this point all need wheelchairs and walkers. But they brought back the Raider legends, baby. They brought them back. And the story here, who cares about Klint Kubiak? He'll be fired in a couple years anyway. These guys don't last. But the story is Maxx Crosby and the future of Maxx Crosby with the silver and black, and the new Raiders coach Klint Kubiak addressing the Komodo dragon in the room at the Raider news conference. I don't know if you saw this or not, maybe not, but Kubiak affirming that he wants Maxx Crosby to remain with the Raiders. Oh, my God. It would have been a better story if he'd said, no, I think this guy's a stiff, Maxx Crosby. I can't stand the guy. You know he's got B.O.? He didn't say that, though. The quote was, Kubiak, he said, quote, "We want him to be a part of our success going forward. There's no doubt about that." Apparently the editors, these guys can't wait to leave the building, by the way. I come in here, it's like a mad dash to get out of here. It's like they must get like cooties or something. People work here. It's amazing. I'm old enough when they actually used to want to work here and stay and do their job. Anyway, apparently we have that sound, so let's go to the audio tape. Here we go.
You've spoken to Maxx Crosby, and is he a guy you could see anchoring your defense here for years to come?
I did. I got to drink a cup of coffee with Max this morning.
Had coffee
ball with him, and look forward to continuing those conversations. I think he was the first one in here this morning working out, so that fired me up.
That's because he's too cheap to build his own gym at his home, apparently. So he went in early to work. All right, so that's a good jumping off point. Let us discuss the question, did Klint Kubiak close the door with those comments about, I had coffee. We had a nice coffee with Maxx Crosby. Does that close the door on the Raiders trading Maxx Crosby? So I've got Joey the Bellman, Cat Scratch, and Waffle Cone. And we will combine all of these things together, and we will do a pirouette on the catwalk is what we're going to do. So, let's just start with this. We've got the Mallard decoder ring, and the Mallard decoder ring just hit overdrive is what it did here, and it's screaming. You know what's screaming? Pop goes the weasel. That's what it's screaming right there. Kubiak stepping to the mic and giving the company line. I love that he went right to the first in the building line. Isn't that a shot at Geno Smith? Shouldn't Geno Smith be the first person in the building? Isn't the Klint Kubiak taking shots at the Raiders quarterback? If I was running the headline, and tabloids don't really exist anymore, the headline would be Raiders coach knocks Geno Smith, who's still under contract with the Raiders, and said, well, no, Maxx Crosby was the first one in. That is an assault on Geno Smith. Or the subheadline, Raiders coach calls out lazy Geno Smith not being first in the building. It's all bullcrap anyway. But there you go, Kubiak giving the state of the Maxx Crosby address, which was really the company line is what it was here. And these comments were not a commitment. They were not. They were more like a classified ad disguised as a compliment, and it's all niceties. And a lot of these questions are by people that work for Raiders.com, which is what you want. You people are idiots, and you like this. You don't want any tough questions. You want it all to be a pomp and circumstance, and so that's what these coaching hires are. That's what you get. But Kubiak didn't just leave the door open. The way I interpret these comments, the new temporary Raiders coach, he laid out the red carpet. He put on some white gloves. He acted like Joey the Bellman at the Ritz-Carlton, our friend Joey the Bellman there. And right there at the Ritz-Carlton, ushering more trade talk. All right, more trade talk, and leading you right into the penthouse suite and saying, all right, listen, settle in. I got some nice chocolate chip cookies right there. I've got some lemonade on the counter, and feel free to browse the mini bar. It's all on the house. Welcome, fellas. So in the world of coach speak, and oh, what a world it is, the world of coach speak, being part of our success is a massive, cavernous umbrella. When you say, we think he'll be part of our success. On one hand, let's play that game. On one hand, Maxx Crosby would continue to play for the Raiders and sack quarterbacks and wear the silver and black and be part of the Raiders' success. On the other hand, he gets shipped out of Dodge, get out of here for a gaggle of bingo cards and those, of course, the draft capital, which you love. You love your little draft picks. You get all horny for your draft picks. So both of them lead to success, right? I mean, Max stays there. He's a good player still. Got a couple more good years in him, so that's great. And then if you get rid of him, you get some false hope, which a lot of your moron fans like. So that's the way to do it. There you go. And it's the ultimate bait and switch in many, many respects. Yeah, buttering up the asset while checking the expiration date on the milk. You're like, what's the expiration date? And Crosby, of this silly season, unless there's a surprise name, Maxx Crosby is the crown jewel of the NFL offseason of players likely to be moved. And Kubiak already eyeing the pawn shop down the strip there, the little pawn shop there. Although I did see, I don't know if you saw this, but in some of the casinos in Vegas now, they've put these vending machines where you can put your gold in the vending machine. They'll melt it down right in front of you and give you money. Yeah, I'm sure that's not crooked at all. No. All right, now, page 2. To Pittsburgh, PA, the land of the Yinzer. Pittsburgh, PA there. Update on the Steeler quarterback situation. So from what we're reading here, the Steelers are hot and heavy. They want Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, they want Aaron Rodgers to return in 2026. Now, why would they want Aaron Rodgers? Your guess is as good as mine. But wait, there's more. Supposedly, the new coach, Mike McCarthy, is in no hurry. No, it's kind of like when he's having a nice brunch. He's never in a hurry when he's eating brunch. And Mike McCarthy's not in a hurry in terms of rushing Aaron Rodgers. This comes amid reports, very vague reports from Terry Bradshaw, of all people, who claimed to have never met Mike Tomlin when Tomlin was the coach in Pittsburgh. But now Terry Bradshaw making some comments recently about that. He knows that the inner workings of Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers and what's going on and all that stuff. So while they do not supposedly anticipate that this thing's going to drag on as long as it did last year with Aaron Rodgers and his imaginary wife, they are content, they being the Pittsburgh Steelers, to focus on Will Howard. That's good. That's funny. That's what they're leaking to their useful idiots in the media. They're really in on Will Howard. That's the guy. All right. Buy your Steeler terrible towels right there. Putting new meaning in the terrible of the terrible towels for sure as they wait for Aaron Rodgers. So the question, can you explain the inner workings, the why of the Steelers slow dancing, doing the nice slow dance with Aaron Rodgers yet again? So this is a fever. It is cat scratch fever is what it is right there. They've been bitten, they being the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is my determination after a minutes-long deliberation. The Steelers have been bitten. They're itchy. They keep going back to the same alley cat because they really like that alley cat. They do. And they're hoping that this time it's not going to claw their eyes out the way Aaron Rodgers did against the Houston Texans in the playoff game. Yeah. And he's still got the name. He still moves the needle. A lot of these younger quarterbacks, I don't know if you know about this, they're pretty boring. Sam Darnold and Drake May. Oh, God, are these guys boring? Holy crap. So these, Rodgers not intentionally interesting, but just not as dull as some of these other jabronis that are playing quarterback. So, and they love the idea, the Steelers, of relevance, and I support that. I think that's great, unlike all these other teams that continue to sell rotten dog food and say, just trust us, bro. We'll be good. Give us 5 years. We'll be good. And then 5 years. Oh, give us another 5 years. We'll be good. Yeah. So really the Steelers, though, have settled into the mediocrity land, the land of mediocrity. They're addicted to it. And Mike Tomlin exited stage left. Get out of here. See you later. Okay, he's gone. The disease remains. It's called 10-7 disease. Sometimes it is diagnosed as 9-8 disease. Every once in a while, it's called 11-6 disease. And then you go to Wild Card Weekend and lose by 20 or more points. That's wash, rinse, and repeat is what that is. And so now you enter, waddling into the room, Mike McCarthy, shrugging like, we'll wait. We'll wait. We got nothing going on here. And you're going to wait for Aaron Rodgers. What is he doing? Another darkness retreat? Maybe he's on his honeymoon with his wife. He went on a nice romantic honeymoon. He's flying solo, but he went on a nice honeymoon. There you go. Yeah, the other options are not great. So it's not, you can't really kill the Steelers because the obvious options are names like Malik Willis, who I don't think is terrible, but he's certainly not a guarantee that he's going to be any good. Worth a shot based on the fact that he looked like he kind of figured some stuff out in Green Bay. Daniel Jones, nothing to do with him. Mac Jones, anybody named Jones is available. You've got the little fella, Kyler Murray, alligator arms Murray. Now, if I wanted to win a video game tournament, that's what I do. You know, they have these races, like in law enforcement, they have, there's a couple of big races. One of them is like Baker to Vegas, which they do every spring. And some police departments will hire track and field people so they can win that event. So if you want to win a video game tournament, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, bring in Kyler Murray. Be a favorite. Come on now. You want Kirk Cousins? You want Tua Tagovailoa? That'd be perfect. Marcus Mariota can be yours. Geno Smith, the Raiders will get rid of him. You can get him. Yeah. There you go. So Rodgers, while not great, it's the, quote, safest bad decision that one can make there. And it sounds like the Steelers are choosing the comfort, and they're willing to go down that road there. And Rodgers, a familiar shoe. You've worn the shoe, you know the shoe, and it's familiar, and it beats the scary change. And you don't really have FOMO. What are you missing out on? Those other quarterbacks aren't any good. All right, now, last word, moving to the bookmaker's office. We go now to the bookmaker's office, where the NFL and sports gambling are intertwined these days. The NFL is essentially a gambling outfit at this point. And the numbers are in, and they're not particularly great from the desert. Despite all of these different devices and platforms to gamble on, the mecca for gambling is still Las Vegas, Nevada. They didn't earn that nickname by people making money. Anyway, the numbers out, approximately $133.8 million was bet on Super Bowl 60 with sportsbooks in the state of Nevada. That sounds like a lot until you realize that is a 10-year low. How low can you go? According to the figures the state gaming control released, sportsbooks did win about $10 million of bettors' money on the Patriots' victory over the Seahawks victory over the Patriots. So a lot of Patriot money went to the sportsbook. So the win was down 55% year to year. 55% decline in Nevada. So the question, what is the big takeaway here from the Super Bowl 60 handle, as they call it, being down by that large a margin in Vegas? So this is not some kind of rounding error based on what I was reading here. This is a flashing red light, and it's actually making a noise. Woo! Woo! That's the sound. You didn't know the red light makes that noise, but it does. Woo! Woo! Yeah, and there's like a siren spinning around on top. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So the problem, there are multiple problems here. Super Bowl 60 was Dolesville, USA. The Seahawks and the Patriots have boring players and boring coaches. They don't get you all tingly. That's a problem, right? It's elevator music, the mood. We were in San Francisco. I was there for the last part of the week, and the mood was apathetic. That was the mood. And for the NFL, this is the entertainment business. We're all about entertainment. You cannot be boring, and they were boring. And Sam Darnold versus Drake May was, I'm going to have my waffle cone with vanilla ice cream, and then the other is the waffle cone with the slowly turned vanilla ice cream. But it's still vanilla ice cream. It's just there's no juice, there's no sizzle. The needle doesn't move at all. That's it. It's pond water. And so Vegas, if you go to year, and you can have fun with numbers, many people do, but Vegas, based on what I was looking at, Vegas lost $18 million year to year in terms of the handle, $57 million less from 2024. That's a big number. That's not a blip. That's a big number on a spreadsheet. In fact, I would argue it's a referendum. And it's, you say, well, everyone's got, not in California, but most people have betting. I guess you do have not just, you can do the betting with DraftKings. We love DraftKings, a great sponsor here. But there's other ways you can bet. And so Sin City did a lot of this to itself. I mean, they didn't help themselves. Let's put it that way, right? The people in Vegas, the people that run the casinos, there's 2 big casinos in Vegas, and they nickel and dime the gamblers, the ridiculous parking, the price of drinks, the price of food. They were even charging, you talk about chutzpah, $900 at one of the sports books in Vegas to sit and watch the Super Bowl. Do they realize that that's not a luxury yacht, that you're sitting in a sports book? Anyway, and just all this stuff that used to be free, and they'd smile at you and all that stuff, and then now it's not. And they've got competition. Normally, I didn't take a lot of business classes. I've read some books since I've actually learned more since I got out of school than when I was in school. But I've studied enough about business to know that normally what happens if there's competition, the customer benefits. And that in order to keep the customer, they give you stuff that they might have not given you back in the day, or they did give you and they stopped giving you, and that's not happened yet in Vegas. And so you've got the sports books. You also have the prediction market, which they're circling like sharks, and that is legal in every state. I've been told by somebody that's pretty connected, they're working to lobby to get rid of that, so you better enjoy that while you have it, because the gambling companies are like, well, this is taking our money away from us, and so we want our money, and so they're trying to massage some hack politicians in D.C. to get rid of that. We'll see if that actually works or not. Good luck. They apparently have a lot of money over there, too. But Vegas, they just, Nevada mostly is just Vegas and Reno, and that's it. But you got to get better service, better deals. It would also help if the NFL put some more interesting people in the Super Bowl. That would make it more fun. Boring does not normally pay the bills. And Seattle and New England, boring.